Got it.
sound.
No
Oh,
sound. Are we
oh.
soundless? Are we soundless currently?
Now can
I,
you hear it? I think
oh,
I
that's
fixed
a
it.
mic thing. Mic deal. Why can't I join
I fixed it.
the? Oh, there we go. Hold on. I have to lurk, but we can hear on MOTPD. Now they can hear, it seems like.
Yeah, I fixed it. It was an OBS thing.
Oh, well, then you all missed out on some gold. You have no idea what you missed out
The
on.
secret jokes. It took you guys a while to tell me that, though. We've been
Listen,
just talking for like 5 minutes.
people are really polite.
I appreciate you guys
Yeah,
so much. Good
yeah.
morning.
Good morning. Polite to the point of just letting us recklessly podcast with no audio. What if we spent an hour and a half recording nothing because
You
you were
just
too
watch us
polite to
record.
tell us?
Yeah. You just watch us record the podcast, but you can't actually hear it. I never said you'd be able to hear it.
Oh my god. No good. Not great. Thought we were testing your patience, Ran.
King ran.
King Ran.
Yeah, King Daddy ran.
KDR?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a band. I would listen to that. For a song, at least. I mean, I'd have to know if the song was, to my liking. To keep going with the band, I guess. I don't know. Gotta read that
Gotta
podcast.
read the podcast fine print.
Yeah. All right, so you had White Mage Monday yesterday, and then what are you gonna do today? Are you doing Fire Emblem today, you think?
Fire Emblem today. I do Fire Emblem, I think, I don't know, like 3 days a week right now. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
It's a great game.
It's a great game.
The battle system's awesome.
I love it. It's so interesting.
Yeah. This is what I was telling you the other day was I think the what's it called? The battle system for Fire Emblem is better than sort of the social system is very fetch questy, right? You're just running around all over the castle giving people gifts and things
and the
they
stuff
dropped.
that they lost.
Yeah. You're just a glorified lost and found. Whereas Persona 5, which I played first and then I played Fire Emblem in 2020, Persona 5 is all about the social stuff is what makes it so great to me. And the combat is fine, but it's not, I didn't turn the game off thinking about the combat system. I turned the game off thinking about going on dates with my friends. And indoctrinating myself with the local heroes and all of that stuff, and learning at the library. Like that was the stuff that I wanted to do in Persona, and the storyline is also really good. So they're kind of like mirror images of each other. I think that I am not going to be able to podcast about Persona because it's so complicated and it's also long. It's going to take like 70 hours for you to play Persona. I think Persona 5 is top-notch streaming content.
Okay.
I really think
it's
you should
on the list.
I think if you do it, you got to get Persona 5 Royal, which I did not do, and that was my mistake because it has extra game. And you'll be playing that for the rest of the year.
You say that. You don't know how long I streamed for, Josh.
I know. So long. I know, but there will be so much that you can do, and you will fall in love with the characters. I'm just out here doing. I'm trying to help Condor out. I know Condor has been really advocating for Persona for a long time, and I'm also trying to help myself out because I want to watch you play Persona 5 very bad.
Josh, I played Final Fantasy 5 for for definitely over 50 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Should we talk about this game?
Yeah, we should. All right. I'll segue with a podcast intro.
Great.
Give me a second. So now the podcast is officially going to happen. We'll start in like 10 seconds. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Yeah, that's right, everybody. It's the return of the Final Fantasy podcast here on Post-Show Recaps. The quest for the crystals continues with a brand new game for one podcast only. Some would say I'm getting off easily, and one of those people would be my co-host here on the Final Fantasy podcast, the legendary Twitch streamer extraordinaire, Brooklyn Zed.
It's probably best for everybody that we didn't just have like 5 or 6 weeks of me yelling about this
Uh-huh.
game. You
Yeah.
all out there in the universe had your nice holidays,
Mhm.
you celebrated things, maybe you saw family, maybe
Yeah.
you had a nice night out for New Year's, I don't know. I
Yeah.
had COVID and I played Final Fantasy V for 50 hours. That's what I've done since last I saw you all.
Ah, oh my god. So we're talking about Final Fantasy V. Maybe some this is a time to touch on some Final Fantasy 3, which I know you played all the way through to
A
completion as
distant
well.
memory.
A distant memory as well. I think once upon a time, my distant memory is that we were going to talk about these two in tandem.
Yes.
But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, based on what you have just said, you have been on a journey
Oh my god.
with Final Fantasy V. The fifth sequential Final Fantasy game was not released in the United States until a few years after it initially released in Japan. I think the game plan for you and me was we were going to do Final Fantasy IV and then come back with Final Fantasy VI. Square Enix very rudely delayed Final Fantasy VI, Zed.
Taking their sweet time, they wanna get it right. I know that's a lot of people's favorite. I know you've said it's gonna be very much my shit, so
I
we'll
think
get
so.
there.
Yes.
So they wanna make sure I think there's a lot of pressure maybe on this one to really
They
do it right for the fans.
They really shouldn't screw this one up for the Pixel remaster. They have done ports of Final Fantasy VI and graphic overhauls with Final Fantasy VI that have been, let's just say, less than popular.
Yeah.
So it really behooves them to get this right. And so the word on the street is February 2022 is when Final Fantasy VI is going to come up. But obviously, as we're recording this, it is mid-January 2022. We put this off long enough,
Yeah,
and
we
I think
still don't have a definitive date. It's
we
just
don't.
February,
We
which
don't.
feels like not 2 weeks from now.
No, it's a nebulous zone. We will figure it out when the time comes to straighten that out. But we're not going to embark on a huge episodic journey through Final Fantasy V. You played Final Fantasy V all the way through because you are a psycho who must complete your video game homework all the way down the line. Zed and I currently are on twitch.tv/Hard Rock Hope, where they have been streaming their video game exploits for the Rock Squad here
That's right.
in their Hard Rock home. I'm I'm trying to make that happen. Is that going to
You
be a
really
thing
wanna
that
make that
happens?
happen.
Is
I
that going
don't
to
know about
happen?
that. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know if it's going to happen. But if you are not part of the Rock Squad, you're going to want to do that. Twitch.tv/Hard Rock Hope, because even if the Final Fantasy podcast has been dark for a minute, Zed, you've been busy. It's not just 50 hours of Final Fantasy V. You finished playing all of Final Fantasy 3. You are currently in the middle of a White Mage Final Fantasy 1 challenge, where you
Yeah.
are playing through all of Final Fantasy 1 for the third time, this time with a squad entirely consisting of white mages.
Yeah, man. I am. Because I wanna stream so I've streamed 3, 4, and 5 on the channel. I wanna stream 1 and 2 so that we have the complete set before 6 comes along or, along with 6. But I didn't wanna just replay 1 again. And somebody in the chat, and they'll tell me who they are, suggested that I do or mentioned the idea of a white mage challenge run, which is a thing people do. It is challenging
Yeah,
for sure. I did a lot of off-screen grinding, mostly because you have to buy magic that is really expensive in Final
magic is
Fantasy
expensive.
1. You
Yeah.
need the money.
You have
Yeah,
no offensive magic either, right?
but only for undead enemies.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, what is it? Just hammer time? Or are you just
Yep,
clobbering people?
it's just hammer time.
Uh huh.
Hammer time all day.
But
The battles are long.
I got to imagine you never die because you've got healers everywhere. It just might take a long time to kill bad guys, but I can't imagine you're dying with a lot of regularity with a white mage challenge.
You'd be surprised. We have a wipe counter in the
Whoa.
channel to
Okay.
keep
Do you want to
track
think about rebranding that?
the
I don't
the
know if
wipe count.
yeah, I don't know.
It's a total party wipeout.
Okay.
7 times so far. So far.
Wow.
And
All right.
we've made it through the Marsh Cave and the Earth. We got to the Giant's Cave with the Star Ruby yesterday.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you're making good time, actually, I feel like.
Now I am. Yeah, now I
Yeah.
am. It took a
So
while to get started, but now we're cruising.
that's one of the things that you've been doing on Twitch. You're playing Fire Emblem Three Houses right
I
now on Twitch as
am.
well?
And I am having a blast. It's my brother's favorite game.
Yep.
He's been telling me to play Fire Emblem for so long, and I'm
I
glad
feel
that I
like I've
finally.
I've known that for, at least a solid half year we've been talking
Yeah,
about
we've been
that.
talking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I'm loving the game. I'm meeting new people on Twitch that way who are not necessarily Final Fantasy people, but who come to find people playing Fire Emblem. So that's been great. I look forward to playing more Fire Emblem and probably other games if I can find them. But I've got some other plans in the hopper for the channel in addition to Final Fantasy. So if there are other things you're interested in, come check me out. Let me know what you like. Well, we have a good time. Whether you like the games or not, we have a good time hanging out here at
Nice.
twitch.tv/hardrockhope.
So make sure that you're checking all that out because we are able to do only so much in podcast land, but Zed, you are doing like 400,000 times what we are able to do in podcast
Yeah.
land on Twitch. And I love it. So normally this is the part where I'm like, go to patreon.com/post show recaps. But if you want to show some support for the Final Fantasy podcasters, let me recommend twitch.tv/hardrockhope. Go subscribe. Go do all of the things. There's incentives right now, Zed. You want to like give a little shout out to all of the stuff that you've got going on if people come and support your work?
Well, so we through subscription goals, we bought that's how we bought Fire Emblem. We
Yep.
bought Mario Party Superstars yesterday, which I'm going to be streaming with fellow RHAP podcaster Ari Ferrari.
Oh,
That's
amazing.
that's his
That's
favorite
awesome.
thing is Mario
That's great.
Party. So we'll be playing Mario Party together tonight, I think, but this podcast won't be out. But in coming weeks, you can watch for that. So we raise money through the subscriptions to buy games that the community wants me to play. Currently, we're fundraising to get me a new desk chair. That's the big dream right now. I really need a new
Yeah.
chair.
Yeah.
But if you cheer bits, which is a Twitch specific thing, you can buy treats for my cat, and I'll feed
Oh,
him. I'll feed him on stream. He's got treats in the treat bank. You can buy
Spooky, the
me.
unofficial third
Yeah,
co-host of the Final Fantasy podcast.
absolutely, and the
Yeah.
mascot of twitch.tv/hardrockhope.
Yeah.
You can buy me drinks, which as I was struggling through Final Fantasy V happened a lot.
I believe this.
Yeah, there's a few different things you can redeem if you're cheering bits, which is like tipping in the channel.
That's
So
cool.
come check it out, see what you like. Come hang out with me. There's a lot of fun people in here that I'm really grateful to have in my community. And you'll get to meet them and become friends. Like our buddy Ran, who is a longtime podcast listener, has become great friends with my buddy Corn Dog, who is a Twitch streamer.
Amazing.
So we're building relationships over here.
We
Come
love
hang
it.
out.
We love it. So make sure
Pia's
you're
in the
checking it out.
chat.
Oh, we've got a Pia in the chat, which we love to see. So check all that out. Twitch.tv/hardrockhope, where you will be able to be the first to hear rants such as the one that is about to happen on this podcast as we are talking about Final Fantasy V for the rest of it. And I think probably more specifically your experience with Final Fantasy V, Zed, because as we mentioned, this is a game that came out between Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy VI. In America, it was Final Fantasy II and Final Fantasy III for a minute before we got some clarity and all started calling them by their correct names.
Uh-huh.
But I've said this on the podcast before. Final Fantasy IV, I adore it. It is, a foundational, seminal story for me, let alone video game. And Final Fantasy VI, in many ways, is right on that pedestal. But Final Fantasy V, I don't think that I played it for the first time until like 8th grade, 9th grade, somewhere in that space. And at that point, I'd played Final Fantasy VII. I had played Final Fantasy VIII, I believe, also. So Final Fantasy V just didn't really have the big click. And I don't even remember finishing it. My memory of playing Final Fantasy V all the way through is with my really good friend from college, Ben, one of my many Bens. who was like my video game friend. He and I would just crush RPGs together. And so many of the games that I've played, I have played with him. And I think it was like our junior year of college.